So the next topic I've got to ask you about is, of course, uh, WATP versus Stuttering John. I've been listening to WATP for about 3 years now, maybe four. It's what the fuck was that?
Sorry,
Uh,
I'm on call.
it,
I'm on call.
uh, should somebody die? Right,
Emergency
Quad?
prostate exams.
Yeah, somebody
There
needs
we go.
an emergency tit implant.
Okay, well, I'll answer that later.
Oh,
That one
So,
can wait. Sorry.
with WATP versus Stuttering John, like, I've been listening all these years.
Yeah, I think you and I must have started around the same time. That's about how long I've been listening to.
Literally, like, it was
Mhm.
really weird because they were both on the same train. We both clicked go on our iPods, and we are like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
That was awkward. But with the feud between Carl and Stuttering John, it has gone from being really funny to nasty, frankly. Whereas today, I don't know if you heard or seen that Stuttering John has once again filed a false copyright strike against El Horrible.
I heard that.
And it really is getting to the point where it's like, with Stuttering John, like, it's like it's an addiction to him, to just be addicted to people. And it goes back to one of those mental health questions I kind of have for you, is that, do you think that Stuttering John has one of the worst examples of a stereotypical midlife crisis? Because he's what, in his mid 60s, he's challenging people to fights.
Well, he's not 60 yet. My understanding is
isn't?
that he's 58.
Oh my God. Hey, 58 and I'll owe you 11, right, Quad?
That's why you do the jokes here.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah, that's enough talk so far, Quad. But with the Stuttering John, like, so he's challenging people to fights. He cannot stop talking about shit that he did 25 years ago. He's trying to grow his hair back to the way it was when he was in his 20s. He's dyeing it with Nutella. It looks fucking terrible. But do you think his midlife crisis is legitimate, or do you think there's something more going on there between him and Carl?
Oh, I don't know what more would be. I mean, they've only interacted, as human beings together a few times. John's thing, when I first started interacting with him, I just said, dude, it's your reaction to these things that's fueling this. And he really didn't want to hear that. And he was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Just not respond when they say this stuff. It's like, yeah. This all started when Carl reviewed his podcast, and Carl had moved on, and none of this would have happened except for the reaction that John had to his original review, and that's where all of this started. And they became a regular on the show. And then when Monique from Radio Gunk said, why don't you just lean into it? And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then he decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to lean into it. And that's when all of this started escalating. When he started acknowledging the dabbleverse and all that. And, I can't imagine what it would be like, to be honest with you, to be on, the greatest radio show at the time, and be rubbing elbows with all the people that he rubbed elbows with, and then get the gig on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which really made me say, wow, this Stuttering John guy, he seems like a very nice person. He did a great job on that show. And I was genuinely sad when he got voted off. And then, we were all rooting for him when he got the Tonight Show gig. And to have all of that and then now be where he is now has got to be devastating. It's just got to be devastating. Sure, did he bring it on himself? I don't know. From what people say, that's the hypothesis that, once he left the Tonight Show, that he just couldn't get work anymore, and his drinking didn't help. But it's got to be devastating. There's times I really feel bad for him, and then other times I'm like others where it's just like he's doing things that are just irredeemable. But he's still a human being, and he's got some problem. I wish he would get help, and I think it would be healthier for him if he just got off of the internet. But I guess he's making money at it now, so this is what he's doing. I don't know. Beyond that, hard to say. There's obviously, he's reacting to things differently than a lot of people would, and that's his cross to bear. He could get counseling, probably would help him to not feel rotten all the time and feel the need to lash out at people. But it's kind of a sad situation.
He has like an entire verse, an entire universe built around him. I can't imagine that like hurts his ego when he sits there and thinks about like everybody in this entire sect of the internet is based upon me and everything I do.
They don't boo nobodies, right?
Right.
I mean, he said that.
But the thing I would say though that I just what I find so weird is how he seems to be getting worse as a person. Like when he went on that now infamous episode of BYB, which is a Lemmi show now.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
But he went on there, and that was the first time I think he'd spoke to anybody on that show apart from Stevie Lou. And literally within, Lemmi, what would you say? It was less than a minute. He had met you online, and he asked you if you took it up the birthday hole.
Yeah, it was about 45 seconds.
So he has a lot in common with Hughezy, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I
what did you make it? 48 seconds? Congratulations, you're a true gentleman, Hughezy.
Yeah. Hey, 48, and I'll owe you 21.
Your math is you're good. You're good at math.
It's pretty good.
You get it.
Hey, I play a lot of darts. I'm from Ireland.
But
the stuff like that, and I've noticed that with what's fucking Gino's wife, Keanu, where she was on Stuttering John's show, and the question was written in by someone. It wasn't even a super chat, and he goes, "Oh, there's a comment here. I'm only putting it up because they wrote it, and I'm not trying to be a pervert. It's just, do you like anal?" And then it's like, why are you asking her?
Yeah,
are you going to?
Because Howard used to do that. That's why. That's all. Howard Stern learned behavior.
But Lemmi, do you? Let's answer the question here.
No,
not
okay,
regularly.
Lemmi, what's your plugs? Bye.
What plug?
I get it because it's 30.
We got it.
But from your perspective, Steve, because you've been on WATP a lot, do you think that this feud between them is getting out of hand? Because the whole stuff of making the joke about Carl's dad, I don't know how Carl hasn't gone after him with wrestling moves, because wrestling's real. I don't understand.
I used to work in championship wrestling, by the way. We could talk about that, but go ahead. I was a cameraman for Wide World of Wrestling with Ric Flair and Greg Valentine and those guys. We'll talk about it later. But anyway, go ahead. I just want to throw that in there so we don't forget.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
But with the, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I think it's gotten to where it's not as much fun. As a matter of fact, I mean, Tukey did a show the other night and didn't mention John one time. And he said he's saying, Dabbler or El Horrible is saying that he's just tired of it. And I see on the subreddits that a lot of people are tired of it as well. And I know I'm not paying as close attention to it, obviously, because I don't half the stuff you're asking me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I always said this, I would do this as long as it was fun. And when it becomes not fun anymore, I'm just going to stop. And there have been a couple of times when it became unfun. And both of those times when I was getting, yelled at in my Twitter by, John Edward Melendez. And because I had said I wore a goofy shirt at the Nashville show or something like that. And, it becomes unfun. And if it's not fun, it doesn't seem like it's fun for John. It's becoming less fun for Carl. So I predict that if Dabble Point continues, this is just me, no one's told me this, continues. They'll do all the John stuff there, and then there'll just be the Reader's Digest version on WATP. I can't watch all this stuff. I know Lemmi and Quadfather because of the John interview and the Kate Meany interview that was excerpted and digested by Carl on WATP, because I can't keep up with all this stuff. There's so much content now. But I think that's what's going to happen. It has become less fun. That's for sure. And the joke about Carl's dad, this is the thing, is, people call John's mom on the phone. Now, Carl's not doing that, and he doesn't encourage his listeners to do that, but people are doing that stuff. John, if that was going on with my mom, I would have her phone number changed, but that's me. And then, so Carl's dad, I guess, is fair game if that was up on the internet somewhere. It was just such a bad joke that it came off as like saying, Carl's dad has cancer. It wasn't really a joke. I mean, I understand, I feel bad for Carl's dad, not because he has a loser son. I'm talking cancer. It just wasn't none of his jokes are well crafted in the way that he likes to talk about them. And it was just a poorly crafted joke. It came off as just like, ha ha ha, Carl's dad has cancer. And I think that's what pissed people off the most. Yeah. And I know VTL was saying, well, listen, Carl said this on his show before. That was a different cancer from what I understand. But still, this stuff has just gotten, that's not fun. There's nothing fun about it at that point.
But in all fairness, it's like Stuttering John accidentally doxed his mom's all of her information on his show, which like he has no one to blame really for that incident but himself. Because if you show info like that, there's going to be someone's going to call the number. It's like
the show when he was on at his mom's house and the phone kept going off and she had so many phones they couldn't figure out that. It was hilarious. And the timing of the phones, and I don't know who was calling there, if it was one of the dabblers or if it was VTL or somebody else, it doesn't matter. You can't deny it was funny.
And the pizza deliveries, and then the delivery guy, the entire thing was awesome.
It's funny. It is funny. And I mean, he doxes everybody. I believe it's accidental. He can't help himself.
No, the thing is, he's not smart enough to accidentally do it. He's deliberately doing just. It says in this comment that Carl lives in a place in Florida. I didn't dox him. That's what the comment said.
Yeah,
it's like, what you did, you fuck. You fucking had every option to let it go. But I think that the problem with Stuttering John is, and it kind of goes back to the way he spoke to Lemmi, is that I think that because he sees himself getting buried by so many people because he's just not witty. So his plan was to talk down to Lemmi. But what he doesn't realize is she's got a lot of stuff under her shirt, if you know what I mean. So then he realizes,
milkers. I think they call them milkers.
That is so rude. But then it's like he thought, I'll say pervy shit and I'll outwit this stoner girl with the cans. And next thing you know, fucking Lemmi from Motorhead turned up and tore him a new one. And then you could see how angry he was getting. You bring me on your show and you talk to me like this. It's like you asked her if she takes it in the arse within a minute. Do you?
No.
No, we've established that.
But you never know. Should have got her drinking.
Ask me again in 3 beers, all right?
See, that's where you bring up the Ric Flair stories.
Stuttering John didn't know Lemmi was in Mensa. He didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
She's super smart in Mensa.
A fellow Mensa member.
IQ.
Yeah. I heard Stuttering John's is now a member of. See?
I hope this gets struck.
Is that true, Lemmi? Are you a Mensa member?
No, I'm not.
That'd
be cool though.
She's an NAMBLA member.
No. Yeah, I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know
sign
what
me
that
up.
is, but I'm in.
Yeah.
But do you think that this WATP and Stuttering John thing is really ever going to end? Because I think really for me the only way that they could end it is that if they both just stop.
Death match.
Right. Yeah, if they both just stop talking about each other right now,
Right.
they will eventually it'll get to that point where not that they'll ever be 100% cool, but if they ever cross paths, they'll be like, yeah, we used to have that feud. But it seems like Stuttering John's life is wakes up, streams on his phone, goes to the pub, then comes back buzzed with the creative beers and live streams, and he has
Like
nothing.
you.
No, I went to the supermarket to buy
Takes one to know one.
yeah, you
I,
effing C.
I think well, of course it will end. Everything ends. The question is, how will it end? And if you want a sort of velvet revolution type ending, what has to happen is one of them has to stop interacting with the other. It could be unilateral. If you have a vicious cycle in medicine, for example, let's try panic attack. So panic attack, people start getting adrenaline, which makes them hyperventilate, which causes symptoms in the hands and feet and around the mouth, which makes the anxiety worse, which makes them hyperventilate worse, et cetera, et cetera. And this vicious cycle just continues to cycle until you break one side of it. You don't have to break one side of it. You don't have to attack both at the same time. So if you can deal with the physical symptoms of a panic attack by breathing into a bag and raising your carbon dioxide or square breathing or whatever, then you can abort the panic attack. And this thing has become a vicious cycle. It's a tit for tat. There's a great old, I don't know what that tat is, but I'd like to have that first thing. There's a great Laurel and Hardy movie called Tit for Tat that's beautiful. It's a good metaphor for what's going on in the dabbleverse right now, where one person does something and then the next person escalates it and it gets worse and worse. And if Carl just stopped talking about him, that would go a long way to just stopping this. I'm not advocating that Carl do that. I'm just saying if the goal were to stop this, that's what you got to do. Go ahead, Derek.
No, just explaining this whole thing is almost like breaking down the fourth wall at this point, because like you say, John wakes up every day and is creating content for all these shows, but in return, he gets to make content from all of that. Correct. So it's almost like it's a parasitic, relationship, a symbiotic relationship. Where everyone's benefiting from the entire situation. So it's like, even though they say they don't like it, or they don't like this, or I don't talk about me over here, don't talk about me over there. It's in reality, it's all content for all these shows, and it can't go away because that is the entire universe is built upon.
And we call it a universe.
Yeah,
but it's a universe with what? How many thousand people do you figure?
Yeah, maybe 15, 20,000 max.
And the ironic thing is, Chrissy Mayer started the dabbleverse, and now
she's
wants
all knocked
nothing to do with it.
Right.
She's all talking about.
She dabbles in the dabbleverse.
I've got something she could dabble with.
Or it's like Steel Toe, or some of these shows that like Gino, like, oh, I'm not part of the dabbleverse, and then they go on and talk about the dabbleverse for an hour of their show, and then they're like, yep, I'll never talk about it unless they talk about me. Well, it doesn't work like that. It's like if you're talking about the dabbleverse, you're part of it. It's almost in essence, that's just how it works.
But the thing is, though,
agree with me, Hughezy.
I agree with you.
Yeah, perfect.
But Carl talking about Stuttering John makes sense, because Carl's making a lot of doll hairs, as they call it in the hood. Stuttering John's making a lot less. Like people are giving him $2 super chats to fuck with him, where Carl has his Patreon and has all that other shit. He's making thousands from YouTube alone, and then his Patreon. I what I understand, it's like 11 figures. It's like between 10 to 11,000 per month. Sorry, Lemmi. Like I just think that I don't know what's in it for SJ. And but tell me this if you can sober up for 1 second. Do you think that Stuttering John's ever going to get back on like people's good side, or do you think he just can't stop with the massive dickheadedness?
I think everybody is entitled to a redemption arc, honestly. And the internet is so fluid and people's minds are so easily swayed
Fluid.
by popular shit. So yes, I think there could absolutely be a redemption arc for Stuttering John.
Yeah.
I hold out hope for just about everybody, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, me
That
too.
just might
I'm
be
the
my
same.
tender heart.
I catch shit for that.
Me too.
But yeah, I who doesn't like a redemption arc?
I love
I'm
it.
with you. Yeah.
Kevin Brennan